Hey, my name is Mike Coffey. I'm the owner of Coffey Custom Builds, and I wanted to show you my shop. So this place is where the majority of our custom woodworking is done. This is our traditional woodworking side of the shop. There's another side that we'll be going over here in just a bit, but in here we keep all the traditional woodworking tools. And for me, the center of the shop is this table saw. We start here for almost everything, other than when we're breaking it down on the bandsaw, but most everything starts here. We do a rough breakdown here, and usually we're gonna go from the table saw over to the jointer, and then from the jointer, we're going over to the planer and then back to get the finish cuts on the table saw. So this main area here in the shop is sort of where everything kind of goes down. Coming over here is some of the, the other tool that gets used all the time, which is the planer. This is a beast of a planer. It is fantastic. It's such a great machine. I always try to go as big as I can when I buy tools within the budget. And this tool is no exception. I wanted to get a 20-inch really bad, and it just is such a beast for us in the shop. It gets so much done in here. Coming around over here, more stuff on the ground. This isn't a tool, but it's an important part of the shop. It's the shop fridge. It's where we keep all of our beverages and snacks for the day. Me and the guys are in here for long hours, so we always try to keep some snacks in here. But yeah, that's the shop fridge. Really important to have. In here we have something we don't use a whole lot, but it's kind of where we've put all of our epoxy stuff. We do use a bit of it, but it's not like, we're not doing a lot of river tables in the shop here. But we do use it for filling and stabilizing a lot of stuff, so it's kind of a mess and hard to get to, but it's not always like that. Over here, we've got this Pantorouter. This is a recent addition to the shop. I'm actually kind of kicking myself for not having this as part of the tool arsenal sooner. This thing's a production monster, and it does incredibly accurate and repeatable joinery all the time. I mean, it's just such a great machine, and I wish I had added this to the shop a long time ago. I actually do want to do a separate video on this down the line about how this tool works, and it is a very expensive investment, but for my shop, it's worth every penny. So I really want to get into that and deep dive that here in a separate video, but this is a very cool tool. Shooting over here, it's kind of a shot across the shop, but we've got our Mortiser, which honestly, this thing gets used a lot more than I thought it was gonna get used. It's a really great tool. It's been really helpful for a lot of the table joinery we've been doing lately. It's just been really great. So this thing's been awesome and really gets fired up all the time. And then there's a drill press. This drill press is a really fantastic tool. It's really nice. It's almost got some CNC features to it in terms of you can program how deep you're gonna drop your bit into the piece and how fast the spindle is spinning, or the chuck is spinning, I guess. So it's a really great tool. We really like this one. It's heavy duty. Let's move over to the miter station over here. It's kind of a mess right now, like everything else is. So we have the miter station here. I've got the Festool Capex. This thing is a great saw. I really, really believe this saw is the best miter saw on the market, and I'm really happy to have it in here. I've had quite a few, and this one has been extremely reliable, and I've been very happy with it. This is actually one of the first pieces of furniture I ever built, ever. It's this cabinet underneath the miter station. It just kind of holds odds and ends, but yeah, it's just kind of been with me, and I think I'll have a hard time ever getting rid of it or replacing it, just because it's like one of the first things I made. Over here, we have an obviously often used sharpening station. It's bone dry, covered in dust, and there's wood leaning up on it. Honestly, this thing gets used probably every 3 months or so. I'll come in on a Saturday, fill this thing back up with water, blow it all off, clean it up, and then I'll give all the edges some love, but it's been a while. It's been about 2 months since it's been used, and now it just gets covered. Everything gets covered in dust here. It's always a mess. And then right next to that is, I like to call this the George Foreman pocket hole grilling machine. It's the Foreman pocket hole machine. Honestly, doesn't get used very much in the shop. We don't do a whole lot of things that need pocket holes. Mostly it's shop furniture that we end up using that on. So, but it's a good tool to have, and it's nice to have something like this, but I would like to invest in a more solid pocket hole machine for when we do need that stuff, because we are seeing more and more of that come up, but right now it's kind of hard to make that investment. Over here is our dust collection. This is the main dust collection for the main shop. This is a Laguna P-Flux 3. Had this for like 2 or 3 years. It's been a really good machine. I've been really happy with it. I wish that the hopper was bigger. That's just kind of the nature of a production shop. I mean, we empty this thing 2 to 3 times a day. I wish I had like a 200-gallon hopper or something. I don't know how I'm gonna, I don't think that's a thing, but I think at some point I'm gonna need to get a machine that will actually push dust outside into a big giant hopper so I can manage it that way, because it's starting to get really difficult to empty this all the time. But it is a good machine. It has a lot of CFMs, and it works really well, and it's just super reliable. So I've been really happy with this. Over here, we've got some carts with a bunch of tools in them. I mean, we just use them all the time. They're constantly being used. Like everything on here gets used constantly. So we made this into I made a big cabinet for this so we can wheel it around the shop, and when we're doing specific jobs, we can take it wherever we're at. I like being able to bring things to us and wherever we're working, so we're not moving across the shop a bunch. So being able to wheel this out and have all our tools really close by is a big win. So this cabinet, something we made just to be more mobile in the shop, and we liked it so much, we built a smaller one of it, and this thing's already almost full of tools too. I actually probably should have just built 2 of those, but there's not enough space for that. So the latest addition to the shop is this shaper. This, truly, we haven't really found the groove on this tool yet. I mean, that wasn't meant to be a joke because there's a groove cutting bit on there, but we found need to have larger groove cutting bits, and we have one project where we're using it a lot, but we're trying to figure out ways to utilize this even more. Over here is the main assembly table. It's a disaster right now, but we're always working over here. Very recently, I added the Shaper Origin to the shop. That has been a huge add to the shop. It's a really great tool, and we've been really happy with what we're able to accomplish with it. I'm currently working on, I wanted to have its own little workstation here. Obviously, this is the Shaper Tools workstation, and we use the plate a lot, but my plan, I've actually got a design for a cabinet that's gonna go up here that will house the plate and all the accessories, and just kind of keep everything from being in the middle of the shop here. So, or in the middle of the assembly table here. I don't like things not having a home, despite how it looks in here. I do like everything having a home, and this tool gets used a lot, and all the accessories get used a lot, so I'm working on getting that done as soon as I can, hopefully in the next couple months here. Yeah, over here is just all the hand tools that we use all the time. The hand tools that we don't use very often are in the cabinet down here underneath the assembly table. But these ones are the ones that are getting used all the time. They're just constantly being used. All right, and coming over here is our sanding station. We have a spindle sander. This doesn't get used a ton. We use it a few times a week. And this disc sander gets used actually quite a bit for cleanup. But the thing we use the most is this edge sander. It's an oscillating edge belt sander, and this gets used all the time. We use this just a ton. It's just a great tool. We use it all the time. I mean, all these are great to have for sure. They're great options, great to have. But if I had to choose out of the 3 of these, I would definitely say this is our biggest workhorse here. So really big fan of all these machines, but this one, it's a beast. And then kind of sliding around to the center of the shop. We were over there for the shaper, but I've got a couple bandsaws in the shop. You can see we're doing a lot of resawing and off-cutting parts here. We'll do a lot of rough breakdown over here. I keep a big 1¼ blade on this guy. This one is for line ripping big slabs, or if we have a big wide plank that we need to get down to a smaller piece because there's some warping or checking or cupping or whatever, we'll rip it down to a smaller, more manageable size before we take it over to the jointer or the table saw. And then over here, I like to keep a 1/4-inch blade on this smaller bandsaw. This is just for curve cuts and any other small cuts we need to do. It's just nice having to not change blades. And you know, this is actually the first tool I ever bought for myself when I started woodworking, so this tool will literally never go away because I have a lot of emotional attachment to it. But it's just a tool that it's always gonna be with me, and I'll always keep it. But the bandsaw is one of my favorite tools in the shop, always. I just love bandsaw time, and it's really great to me. So let me move this pile of parts out of the way here. We have our dual head sander. This has been a great add. I've had the 1938 cantilever style drum sanders in the past, and then I had a 2550. This is a dual head. We run 60 and 100 grit in here. And that's really great, because with that size, we don't see really any burning. It's like a planer, but more gentle for us. So we don't use it for finishing up anything. That's not really what this is for. This is more for thicknessing at a more precise level. And that's what we use this tool for in here. Let's check out the other building. So from out here, over the last year, things have grown a lot really quickly. And this space was just not enough. So I built this building. And what we put in here is a lot of the automated tools. So you come in here first and you can kind of see what we have happening in here. So in here is our laser room. When this building got erected, one of the first things we did was frame out this room because I needed a space for my laser. And it's really kind of like a satellite office for me. I do a lot of work in here on this computer, but it's where the laser is housed. And the laser is just kind of always constantly running. We always have work for it. It just kind of does its thing in the background and works. Coming out here is the main shop, or the main CNC shop area. We're in the middle of a production job right now. We're making, it's a monthly job we do for a good customer. We're making 108 shelves. So we keep a bunch of sheet goods there. Also, we keep a bunch of sheet goods right there. And this is all the stuff we use the most. We're just kind of going through hardwood, plywood really quickly because of this project. And then over here is the little workstation. We've got all of our bits and parts and accessories for the CNC here. And then obviously the CNC is here. So this is one of the first really big investments I made in my business. It was really scary, but it's been a huge return of investment on this thing. It's just been fantastic. And yeah, this is like a big staging / production area. So that's kind of the whole tour of the CNC side of the building. Why don't we head over to the spray booth and take a look at that place. The spray booth is literally just a shed I bought from Home Depot. There's nothing special about it. It's pretty straightforward. We have all these racks are actually something we just made for that shelf production job. Right now we can fit 36 shelves in here. That'll cover all 3 sizes of one species. And so what ends up happening is we have a day of spraying for one species of all 3 sizes, and that's 36 parts. And then the next day will be another day of spraying for the other 36 parts of the next species, and then so on and so forth. So, and then I just have a bunch of different finishes and all the different things we use in here. I have all my HVLP. I've got the Fuji Q5. That's been a great machine. It's just been really killer for the business, and I've been really happy with that. And then I just have all my various finishes that we use for different projects. So really, this space is just where we spray and finish everything. It's a nice contained space. We're always wearing our PPE. Keeps things temperate so finishes don't go bad, because that stuff's expensive and you don't want that stuff going bad on you and getting all jelly and gross. So, but that's it for the spray booth. The last little spot that's part of the shop, and that is the wood shed. It is a disaster, but let's go take a look at it. So this is the wood shed. It is just a storage container, a shipping container that I bought from some shipping company locally here. Having wood not be in the shop is a huge win. So we just kind of have everything in here. Right now we need to go through, and I need to either do a big purge sale of all these offcuts, or I need to figure something out, because we're just having a huge, I mean, you can see back here, we have just an entire rack of offcuts. So I'm always telling myself, oh, we'll just make a bunch of cutting boards or a bunch of small things, but there's never ever any time for that. So we end up having just this massive collection of beautiful pieces of wood that we don't have anything to do with it. So that's kind of the situation. It's just always constantly a bunch of wood here. It's good. It's good. It works for its one job, which is to hold wood in it. So we're really happy with that. And that's kind of it. That's the wood shed. And that's kind of the whole shop tour. And that's kind of all I have to say about it. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.